Welcome to Hope Natural Health, the podcast inspiring you to be your best version. Join me, your host, Dr. Erin, naturopathic doctor, dog mom, cancer survivor, and girl boss weekly as we discuss all things health, hormones, and happiness with a little side of this thing called life. We are recording the 99th episode. I cannot wait until next week where we will be doing the live 100th episode. So don't miss that. I'll talk about it a little bit more after I tell you ways to support your ovulation naturally. Last week, though, we talked all about glutamine. So if you have no idea what glutamine is, it's an amino acid and it's super helpful for your health. So go back and take a listen to that. But now let's dive into some ovulation. Ovulation is the process by which a mature egg is released from one ovary and travels down our fallopian tube where it might be fertilized by sperm. So here's a little bit about what happens during ovulation. One, our hormone levels change. In the early part of our menstrual cycle, levels of estrogen and progesterone are low. But as the cycle progresses, levels of estrogen begin to rise, which actually causes the uterine lining to thicken in preparation for potential pregnancy. As estrogen levels continue to rise, this triggers a surge in luteinizing hormone, or LH. Then the egg is released. So the surge in LH triggers the release of a mature egg from the ovary, which then travels down the fallopian tube. If sperm is present in the fallopian tube, they may fertilize the egg, which therefore results in pregnancy. After ovulation, the empty follicle in the ovary that released the egg becomes what's known as the corpus luteum, which produces progesterone to support our uterine lining. If the egg is not fertilized, hormone levels decrease and the uterine lining is shed during menstruation. So there's several natural ways that we can support ovulation. And just to refresh your memory, ovulation can happen typically around days 14 through 16 of a regular 28-day cycle, but that's not consistent for everyone. So it can vary from cycle to cycle and from person to person. So that's where tracking is very important to help you understand when you do ovulate. But there's some natural ways that you can support ovulation. And even if you're not trying to make a baby, ovulation is still important because if we don't ovulate, we don't make progesterone. And progesterone is the queen of hormones, in my opinion. It is anti-anxiolytic, it's anti-inflammatory, it's calming to the brain and the nervous system. It can help with weight loss, and it's actually protective against breast and endometrial cancer. And that's its natural form, not the synthetic that's found in hormonal birth control. So back to some ways that we can support ovulation. One, we need to maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or underweight can actually disrupt ovulation. So to maintain a healthy weight, we should be eating a healthy diet. So consuming a diet rich in fruit, vegetables, and whole grains can help our hormones out and improve our ovulation. Exercise. Regular exercise can help regulate our hormones and improve ovulation. Stress. Chronic stress can actually disrupt our ovulation. Even if we do ovulate, like I said, we make progesterone. If we're under chronic stress, we're going to be depleting our progesterone stores. We're just going to burn through them, which can therefore make your cycle super irregular. You might have a very short cycle one month. And if you do, think about your stress levels. There are some supplements then that can help support ovulation, such as Vitex or maca root. But again, check with your doctor before you take any new supplementation. Acupuncture is one of my favorite traditional Chinese medicine practice that we can use to support ovulation and even hormones. So there's different points that we can use to improve ovulation and regulate the menstrual cycle. Did you know that we do acupuncture at Hope Natural Health? Give it a try today. So again, it's important to note that ovulation can vary from person to person and even cycle to cycle. So if you have no clue when you're ovulating, I highly recommend that you start tracking. You can use different apps. You can use OPKs or ovulation predictor kits where you pee on these little strips to see if you have that LH surge. You can take your temperature. You can monitor your cervical mucus. But I highly recommend you start tracking because, like I mentioned, even if you're not trying to make a baby, we still want to ovulate. It's a very, very important part of our menstrual cycle. Also, you can get your hormones tested. We can determine if you're ovulating based on blood work. We can look at your LH and your FSH levels. So that is something that I do for every patient that comes into the office. So, do you know when you ovulate? I would love to hear about it. That concludes this week's episode. But before we end, I do want to remind you that the next time you hear my voice, we will be recording the 100th episode of the Hope Natural Health Podcast. I will be here in studio live on Tuesday, May 23rd at 10 a.m. Arizona time, answering viewers and listeners' questions live. There's a link in the show notes, and you'll find it in my social media channels where you can submit your questions that I will answer live during our 100th podcast episode. I cannot believe that we're here, and I've recorded now 99 episodes. It's wild just to think that this was just something I wanted to do for fun, and here we are, almost 100 episodes later. I hope you all can join me live. Check out social media and our newsletter for more details. See you all at the 100th.